Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod
That
with Lila and Pat. How are you,
perfect
Pat?
introduction. Nailed
Perfect.
it. I
Oh,
just want some
nailed
points
it.
on my record.
You
That's
get all the
all.
points. You get a raise. You get 7 sick days. We're not even going to have to vote on it. You get to be treated like a dignified worker.
6 days are un-American. Come on.
Yeah. What a travesty. I'm having a hard time putting a smile on my face and finding the joy. Really glad everybody's here with me to keep me in check because holy cow, I am furious. How are you?
I mean, I am not. So we probably have the same level of empathy, maybe, but I don't. I compartmentalize my empathy. Like
Okay.
I can feel the pain of but then I can just turn it off and realize we can't change anything, and we shouldn't be miserable because we have no power in politics. We should just keep trying to get power, and we'll have
Um,
cocktails. And
wow, that's a very zen response. I think I just learned something new about you.
that I lie.
No, that you have that ability. Josh, my husband, Josh is like that. Like he can be really upset about something, but he compartmentalizes and then he can like move on to the next thing. And I'm like incapacitated. I
Yeah.
like can't
Hmm.
function.
I mean,
It's way
I don't
healthier what
know.
you're doing.
I don't know if it's a male female thing, but maybe it's easier for men to, in general. This is a generalization,
Could
but
be.
you know,
It could be.
uh,
I don't want to get in trouble
I'm
for where
trying to
that would lead me.
I'm trying to stay away from controversy here. So
I know. All right. Well, why don't we like return to the niceties as long as we're compartmentalizing and trying to be civil and all that good stuff. Tell me how was your week? How have you been?
oh, my week. It was good. It's been busy. I did so the biggest job you can do generally for my electrical work is like change someone's whole electrical panel at their house.
Okay.
And I've done 3 of those in the last week, which is rare.
Wow. All right.
But so that's a lot of work. So I've been burnt out on the work side of it. But
I'm sure.
no complaints. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Look at God,
it's
you're
work.
just so calm and cool and collected today. You're
I'm
like easy
compartmentalizing it. I'm just
breezy.
like,
I know you're freaking me out. I gotta like backtrack and reset.
yeah, I'm not
Um
taking Xanax. This is not a new thing.
I know you've had a lobotomy.
Me, right?
Everything's awesome.
This is fine. This is great. Flames behind me.
Yeah. Good. Good for
How was
you.
your week? How are you?
Well, again, now I feel like I have to recalibrate and pretend that everything's
Throw you off.
awesome. Okay, so wait, last we spoke, it was the night before Thanksgiving, and I had a great time. My younger son made a feast for us. The rest of us like contributed bits and pieces, but Xander really
He's a
took
great cook.
over.
I can vouch for that.
He really is. He did a Gordon Ramsay turkey that was covered with bacon. And I mean, sorry for everybody who doesn't eat meat. And this is so gross and I don't mean to be offensive, but anyway, it was delicious. Butter, all that. It was awesome. And a million other things. And we are back to crate training my puppy who's driving me crazy. How does she not go to the bathroom all day? You bring her inside and she pees on her bed. Somebody please explain to me how that is possible. And
Can I just share something real quick about my cat?
yeah,
That's not a dog story.
please.
Okay, first off, you can submit your hate. I have an indoor outdoor cat. It's not all indoor. Cat people, I'm a cat person. I just can't make him be indoor, but I keep trying.
Yeah.
He's an asshole. I have scars to prove he's an asshole. He makes me bleed every week in some form.
Great.
But I had a cat box for a while as part of my making him indoor. And what he would do is first off, he'd always make eye contact when he poops. He'd turn and face me on the couch, stare at me.
Domination.
And then immediately want to leave. Like his thing was he would poop, stink up my place, and then leave. And I'm like, what is the benefit to me of having this cat box here?
No, but I totally understand his logic there. That makes
like,
sense.
I'm out of here. Clean it up.
Stinks in here. Why would I stay?
Anyway, back to you.
No, that's where I am. Anyway, very frustrated. If anybody can pass on any words of wisdom, I would really appreciate it, because we're back to the crate training and trying. And this is our second full day really sticking to it and not letting her go in the back after she pees once. We're like, okay, now you can go where you really love to go. So we're really trying to be like, we live in an apartment in New York and this would be our only option. I'm trying to like remind myself of that. But right now, I'm very frustrated. But
you have a female dog, right? No, you have a male dog. You do have a male dog.
So. Little female, and she's so sweet and loving, but just, boy, I wish she could just be incorporated into our home, and we haven't gotten there yet. You know, she's like very much penned into her kitchen, whatever, boring. Anyway,
you will get there.
The good part of our week, which I was like ridiculously excited about, was our new merchandise.
Oh, yeah,
our shot glass that has the little Punch Up Pod logo on it. I don't know if you can see it.
My green screen's wrecking mine a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I wonder why. Why isn't it doing it to mine?
It's just the settings, probably. Mine's more sensitive or something.
Anyway, very excited about our shot glasses, and we're going to get to it on our wheel. But thank you all. We had so many really fun responses for our very first Caption This contest in order to give away our merch. So thank you all for participating. That was really fun for us.
Yeah, every week we're going to find
different contests.
Probably photo caption a lot of times, but there'll be some reason to give out a shot glass every week until we're out of shot glasses.
Housebreak Lila's dog. You get a shot glass.
There you go. Can we hash it out so we can use these new glasses?
Let's hash it out.
All right.
All right. That was a weird ending. We're gonna work.
Yeah, one day I'm gonna fix that video because it just plays music for like another 2 minutes if I don't cut it off.
All right. Well, I mean, I love it. It caught me by surprise. Okay. Rail strike psych, which is the thing that is really just making me lose my mind. Analyze this new wheel segment. Timeline cleanse, another new wheel segment. Long tridemic, which will be here for a very long time. Caption contest and dinner with Nazis. Let's spin the wheel.
Oh, I guess I have to pull the wheel up and hit it. Let's go.
Hit it. Let's hit it,
baby.
Okay. That's a perfect way to start.
Out of the way.
Let's bring some joy to this rodeo session here.
Yeah, where do we start with that? I mean, Biden being the union president.
It was a shot.
Was it?
Wasn't that a shot?
Let's go to the audience for a replay. Somebody confirm. Was that a shot?
Yeah, because you know why? You removed it.
Okay.
And look, I'm looking at the wheel down there and we got a missing shot.
I thought it landed on rail strike. Okay. We have controversy.
Yeah, well, controversy. We're going to New York for a replay and
for our inaugural shot.
Shot out of my new glass. Cheers.
Cheers. Mm. Oh, it tastes so much better out of our own. Narcissists that we are.
All right, thank you. I see everybody. It was a shot. Hey, everybody, look at cloudy skies. Mary, thank you for saying that. We're not there yet. We're so disorganized, but thank you. And eventually we're going to figure out how to do that. Jay Monad, I'm looking at everybody where the runs. Yes. All you need to say is Lila was right. Lila was right.
I lose.
Fancy that. All right, let's spin the wheel.
Let's do that. Where's the wheel? Here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, one of those shows, huh?
Okay, that's a shot. That's number 2, and I'm already on my second pre-drink game. Okay, this is gonna be fun. See, I'm already in a better mood. Wait, Pat.
Oh,
Don't leave,
wait. Shot.
don't leave me
Cheers.
hanging here. It's so much better when you add alcohol to it. Wow. Okay, that was my fourth drink, and it's only 5:11. Things are looking brighter already.
Wait till 9/11. Oh, wait. Didn't even make sense. Where's our wheel? I keep hitting the wrong button.
I'm not touching anything.
All right. There we go.
Yeah, baby.
Waiting.
Okay.
So that's what happened last time, probably, right? It just kept on creeping up, and I gave up.
It did. Yeah. You just have to. Yeah. Okay. Are you removing
Yeah.
them? I don't think you should remove any more after this, though, because then
I'll
we
leave
only
the
have-
rest of them.
Okay.
Well, we
All
do have
right.
more segments up there now.
I know we do. We have a lot of
plan on a
segments.
segment at some point.
Yeah. Well,
I'll fill
eventually.
my shot. Cheers.
Cheers.
That one's to the rail workers who are
Yes.
still very
Solidarity
much
always.
in. They
Man,
have not a single sick day. Come on, people. This is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. We've had a few weeks where we've had stuff to talk about with Ukraine and Nazis and stuff, and we haven't gotten to it. So I'm glad that we are today, especially framed around the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, having dinner with Nick Fuentes, who apparently was a surprise guest brought along by Kanye West and Milo to Mar-a-Lago. So all of that's vile, disgusting, like the worst people in the world, all in one room together. I don't like Nazis. Like I will never simp for a Nazi.
I mean, unless they support Medicare for all, then we're going to invite them to support our march. It might get controversial.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't understand. So first of all, yes. And then everybody's, why can't Trump denounce this? And of course, Trump is doing damage control and saying, I had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. And now Kanye, I think, is also saying, oh no, it was a total surprise. He didn't know who he was. Like, everybody's coming together to protect Trump on this one.
Right. But I mean, Kanye's Kanye. Kanye this week walked out. I never follow any of this drama podcast or shit, but Tim Pool's got a show, and Tim Pool's another sketchy, radical, right wing, guy who leans into white supremacy for clicks.
Right.
But he wasn't being anti-Semitic enough for Kanye. So Kanye walked off his show on air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to say that for Trump to say that he didn't know who Fuentes is nonsense. But then, when you're palling around, I mean, they're going for Kanye, obviously, for the pander vote.
Right.
And because they have a prominent, I mean, who wouldn't want his vote before he went all crazy? It would have been a great get for any candidate. But, for Trump to be able to say he has black support on any level.
Yeah.
I mean, remember Blacks for Trump? Blacks for Trump was that super radical guy. He was always in a photo op behind Trump every time he spoke, but his views were disgusting.
Well, it's disgusting. I mean, crazily enough, though, obviously we know that Trump has gotten more black voters and more Hispanic voters than any Republican in decades. So, I think it's really hard and so this gets us into this whole segment, which is, yes, Trump is disgusting. He is racist. He dog whistles all the time. He started his whole political life calling into question whether or not Barack Obama was born in the US, piggybacking on Hillary's lovely insinuation. But really rode that hard and the birth certificate and all that, and then started his presidential campaign talking about Mexicans not sending their best and being rapists. And he's just a vile, disgusting person. However, when the other option is Joe Biden, it's really difficult not to see the hypocrisy in the blue wave, vote blue no matter who crowd, who gleefully are, in support of sending weapons to Nazis in Ukraine, who are inviting people who are covered in swastika tattoos and, ancient, or not ancient, but Nazi symbols all over their body, going to Disneyland, going on, being greeted by people in Congress, right? So
there's this guy.
Yeah, which are the bad Nazis? This is, I'm going to say the name wrong, but Ole Tannibach.
He seems like a good guy, though. I don't understand.
Wait, what?
What?
I'm sure that's just a one-off.
It's a fluke. It's a fluke.
Yeah, then we've got Michael McFaul, who was the U.S. ambassador to Russia for a while, giving, I don't know, doing some kind of event with the Nazi Azov battalion, celebrating them. We've got another Nazi on MSNBC. Dmitro Kozatsky is in the U.S. He appeared on MSNBC. He has a book of his photography, but then he went to schools in Maryland and talked to them. I mean, so here we've got a Nazi, a sanctioned Nazi by the liberal media, coming to talk to kids.
Those are just still images. They could be taken out of context.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, residents there have been celebrating their long-awaited freedom, many taking to the streets, waving flags and cheering for the soldiers.
That's an interesting cheer. That's the Sig Heil cheer I've heard so much about. I mean, that was only in history books when I was growing up. And now we are just parading them around our media and being told that it's okay. First we're told there aren't Nazis. But then Azov battalion and the right sector and other members of these far right groups in Ukraine are saying no, we are not, we're Nazis. They are, unlike our Proud Boys who wear masks, they are very outspoken about it. They are proud of the beliefs that they espouse.
And I mean, obviously Russia has lots of Nazis too. It goes both ways, but
we're not sending them our arms.
Right. It doesn't make this a good versus evil war in any sense, because we're backing the non-Nazis. No, we're literally backing Nazis.
We
in
are
a lot of cases.
literally backing them. We are flooding them with weapons, only 30% of which we can even trace. And that's probably an exaggeration. Now, we're seeing that javelins originally meant to supply Ukraine were seized in the border between Colombia and Venezuela. We also have Finland saying that arms sent to Ukraine are ending up in the hands of criminals there. We also have, in Italy, Italian police bust an Azov-tied Nazi terror cell planning terror attacks. So, yes, I am all for calling this out. The other thing is that I think, where did all of my things go? I had so many. Well, that's a bummer. I don't know where they went. But, the other two things are the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville got a lot of inspiration and was in correspondence with Azov Nazis in Ukraine. So, by the way, were some members of the January 6th insurrection. So as we are funding and training, the CIA was actually training these people in Ukraine, funding them, giving them weapons, making them stronger. Then they, the neo-Nazis from our country have all jetted off there to help fight in Ukraine. They come back here with what they learned. They are working in a network of neo-Nazi groups here in the US. So yes, Kanye's disgusting. His tweets are gross. Tim Pool and Milo and Nick Fuentes are all vile people, as is Donald Trump. But to act like that, those are the only people who are helping grow this raging right-wing fascism is completely dishonest.
And that's the important part that I always fall back on, is the public needs to know the truth about what's happening. And I'm not saying you couldn't still make a case for arming them, but to blanketly give Ukraine all this money when we have so many problems here at home, and it's such a selective piece of outrage, somehow we're backing all the citizens there, but not in all these other parts of the world where they're dictators,
Yeah.
destroying them, committing genocide. It's just, the public doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. They think blue and yellow flag is like, it's like the BLM thing, but they
Right.
never supported Black Lives Matter. Really. They just want to be
Right.
good people. So they think,
Yeah.
oh, you got to back Ukraine
You're
because
right.
Russia, Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the propaganda that has been perpetrated on our country, which is not happening in other countries. I mean, just recently, I think the French ambassador to the UN said that, the US is getting away with making ridiculous amounts of money off of this war while the European Union is suffering. And so I think as people are seeing how cynically the US is using Ukraine as cannon fodder to fight this proxy war against Russia and also to enrich our military industrial complex. I think the European Union, and of course the global South, are finally sort of calling out the hypocrisy of the US and NATO. Europe accuses US of profiting from the war. EU officials attack Joe Biden over sky-high gas prices, weapon sales, and trade as Vladimir Putin's war threatens to destroy Western unity.
Well, there's a phrase for that. It's disaster capitalism.
Yes.
Obviously happening. Like any disaster, like not war. I mean, COVID. Everything is
it's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to pass some sort of laws to somehow skew things in favor of people who already hold power and capital.
Well, and look at what one of the first things Zelensky did when the war started. He banned oppositional political parties and he destroyed workers' rights. He destroyed, I think, did he ban the right to strike from workers and certain contracts and limit on a number of hours per week? I mean, the reason that's done is to pave the way for outside capital to come in and buy up the country for cheap. I mean, that's exactly why it's done. So yes, it is disaster capitalism.
Yeah, back 10, 20 years ago, when we were talking about Venezuela, it was economic hitman. They would come in there and they would get they would put an evil dictator in power, supply him with arms and tons of money to his personal bank account. And then knowing he's corrupt, he'd be ousted by the local government. And then the country would owe the US all this money. So the US would get all their resources, which is, what they did in Venezuela.
That's what, And it is exactly what's happening here, right? I mean, that's the goal. In addition to weakening Russia, it is for lots of big businesses to come in and take over. Anyway, so there's lots of bad people and any Nazi is a bad Nazi. I've seen a few liberals on Facebook say, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I just feel like if the enemy of your enemy is a Nazi, you've got two enemies. Like, I have no problem saying Russia bad and Nazis bad. No problem with that at all.
Yeah. Just on the US, war. I mean, you get all this propaganda, like this one doesn't really fit the Nazi stuff, but I mean, like, really, if a woman was in charge of Russia instead of the testosterone fueled current leader, the war in Ukraine would be over by New Year's Day and we could all breathe a little easier. How? Why? Do you think a woman is not going to be beholden to the entire military and industrial complex that runs our whole fucking government?
I mean, ask Victoria Nuland, ask Condoleezza Rice, ask Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright. What the hell are these people talking about?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad you brought up Condoleezza Rice because I mean, I forget about her. It's been so long, but like, a clear villain, and that was just not that long ago. And he's
I don't know. I brought up four of them. Why are you only mentioning Condoleezza Rice?
I compartmentalize things about women because I'm
the George W. Bush. Yeah, exactly.
I avoid my toxic masculinity.
Oh, stop. All right, should we move on? Are we done with Nazis? I wish we were done with Nazis. I know we're not, but it would be really nice if
what do we got?
Well, that's the other disgusting thing. For Western weapons, the Ukraine war is a beta test. So basically, the US is using using Ukraine to test out how our weapons work in combat. So just in case anybody was still under the illusion that we are fighting for democracy and Ukraine's the good guys and we're just supporting them and what they want, we are, again, using them as cannon fodder and completely decimating their country. If you support Ukraine, you should be supporting talks towards peace and diplomacy and concessions for both sides. Concessions, like everybody's going to feel like you lose. That's how you know it's a good peace treaty. Everybody loses a little something and people stop being slaughtered.
Yeah, unrelated, but it just reminded me, and we're not covering it, so I just want to mention it. But San Francisco just voted to arm robots with explosives.
What could go wrong? It's excellent.
It's just liberal, hippie, Nancy Pelosi.
Progressive. Super progressive.
San Francisco just voted to do that. So there's that.
Gross.
All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move on.
I'm kind of missing the shots.
Yeah, baby.
Jinx.
Oh, I asked.
Wow, you sure
Do I take it off?
I'm getting a little.
I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna leave. We'll leave 2 shots.
Okay.
We have too
I
many.
think maybe because I think is this number 6? Where am I? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I just know I can see my face is getting redder, so it means I'm having a good time, or I'm like shaking with rage. One or the other. Ready? To rage.
Rage Against the Machine, who I was supposed to see in concert.
I know.
They canceled their tour where I was. They postponed it like a whole year and a half and then canceled it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. All right, let's spin and rage.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, that's a good antidote. That's a good antidote.
I'm gonna leave that one on because we got a few we could.
We got a few. I'm gonna let you choose the first one.
Oh yeah, timeline cleanse. Let's see. What do we got?
You do it.
Let's start with your wine. I like this.
This was one of my favorite memes. I know everybody's seen it, but it was right before Thanksgiving, and it was the wine bottle. Grandma, you're looking lovely tonight, or the first couple sips, and then as the bottle goes down, look, you guys, I just think healthcare is a universal right. And then by the time you get to the bottle, Cousin John, you're a fascist, and the revolution will not spare you. That made me laugh.
I do love that. I love these because it reminds me of telling my aunt to get fucked.
Everyone should do that at least once in your life. Not my aunt. I love my aunts, but yeah.
Your aunts are great.
My aunts are great.
This was related one. First quarter. Damn, this is delicious. We're talking Jameson this time around for the audio listeners.
For the audio listeners tomorrow on iTunes.
On what channel are we on with audio? I don't even know.
It's Apple iTunes. Sorry to Cook, blah, blah, but yeah, I know.
Second quarter. Slurred Boondock Saints quotes. I can vouch for that. And finally, after I shit in this closet, everyone here is going to catch these fucking hands.
That makes me laugh every time, especially after 6 drinks. All right. Are we getting another timeline cleanse, or do you want to wait and see if we land on it again?
Yeah, let's show Kamala just being a genius like she always is.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Thank you.
That one's kind of cursed. I don't know. Maybe we need 2 different segments. That didn't cheer me up.
That did not cheer me up at all. All right.
Maybe this car.
I will not accept that it's a highly dangerous road. Work is finished. The Central Reserve safety fencing will go ahead. Yeah.
Luckily, no one was hurt in the crash.
Boy, I don't know if that's funny either. Who's choosing these clips? What's happening? I want to see that Boondock Saints Jamesons again.
True.
All right, let's move on.
Fair. Oh, wait. Yep. That's the opposite of moving on. Here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Whoa.
It's a weird choice.
we're Gonna fire our PA again. All right, so we did a new thing. We thought it'd be fun. We got these shot glasses, and we're super excited about them. As you can tell, I can't stop. Pat and I we send pictures of them back and forth to each other. I'm super excited. So we did this caption contest, and we're so grateful to all of you. So many people wrote in. So this was. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, no. I was just going to say that the winner gets one of these shot glasses.
Winner gets one of those shot glasses. Look at that.
Obvious. Put you in a Christmassy shelf with the red.
I know. Red is my absolute favorite color. So those were from Christmas, but I keep them up all year round.
So this was the caption. I stole this from somebody. I'm sorry, whoever shared it on Twitter, we're mutuals, and I just forgot, but he shared this picture.
Well, so because Biden was on Nantucket Island over Thanksgiving, right? Yeah. And so a couple girls were in a ice cream shop or something, and they saw him walking on the street and started shouting for him to come over. And he came over, and then this was the picture that was shared, which is kind of a really unfortunate picture for somebody with Biden's history.
Goddamn creepy.
Yeah. So we got tons of wonderful responses, and we're so grateful to everybody who did, both who posted them on Twitter and sent to our DMs. There were lots of funny ones, and this is the part that I hate, where I'm like, and we chose only one, but
Lila is so sweet. She's like, should we just show everyone's tweet? Should we just call it all a tie and just randomly select a winner?
Everybody gets a
like, no, you have to have a winner. I mean, come on. So,
but we did want to read a couple.
There were some great ones. Yeah.
All right. So the fuck one, your new sniff proof glass does its job, was from Save Sheikh Jarrah, Free Palestine at Unimpressed 247. Very funny.
Can I correct you? Because I love correcting you.
Yeah.
This actually means the feel when. The feel when. It does. You just need to talk to the kids in the house.
Is that true?
Yeah.
What?
Am I wrong? Someone correct me. That's the feel one. It means the feel when in this use.
No way.
I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Is the audience backing me up? Look, we got a yes.
Really? It's the feel? That feeling when? I thought it was the fuck when. Okay. That feeling when. All right. I see. Okay.
So all
right.
That's Pat 8,
feeling when.
Lila 0 in our history. Kept track every single time.
Hello, fellow kids. I know all of your
Hey, check my TikTok, sub and like or something.
Then another very funny one from Daniel NYC was little pigs, let me in.
Yeah, that
the
does
fuck when the big bad wolf is outside your window.
The fuck with.
All right.
And our grand winner of the tax deductible, I don't know. You can have to. We're sending a W-2 with the shot glass because it's so valuable. You're going to need to report your earnings.
We will reach out to you and make sure we get your address and send you your shot glass to the winner. Dun-dun-dun-dun. This week's winner, and now it's too small. I can't see the actual handle, but he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake, which is both creepy AF, creepy as feelings.
Creepy as
feelings.
What's an F word? I don't even know.
Creepy
That's
as
all
fuck.
I got.
And it's also the impending Christmas spirit right here.
Amen. And I can see the screen from here because I'm down with the youngsters. My eyes aren't as bad as yours.
Yeah, tell me.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's Erasmo Costa, whose tag includes progressive, atheist, humanist, which I can appreciate a lot because I subscribe to all that.
Love it. Way to go. Thank you for participating. We will reach out to you to get your address and your one-of-a-kind limited edition shot glass.
Yours for only $9.99 shipping.
No,
we're
all
right, what else we got?
Let's go.
And cheers to, you know what? Next time we have to incorporate a shot with that, I think.
I think.
Yeah,
you're right.
baby.
If I hadn't already done it. Oh God.
Did I just,
No,
that was a dead tie.
that was. But when in doubt, you're always going to come
We'll leave that
come
one
down
on.
on the side of your shot. Oh my God.
Yeah, so this was the shot that was meant to be. As an
It's-
atheist,
yeah, you had said,
I can't say God
totally.
meant it, but you know, cheers to
I like-
Erasmo.
That's right. Cheers. Funny
Too
caption.
fucking wasted. Oh, maybe we do that next week.
I think
What do
it's
these
too,
initials stand for?
too
you know?
feeling wasted. Now
Wrong
I'm just
answers
every time I
only.
see an F, I'm going to say it's feelings.
Feelings. Oops.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, I'm kind of excited about this, but we've never done it before. So this is our new attempt, but I'm the one who has to control it. And you know how I am, especially after, what am I now at 7?
Wait, does this mean I get a pee break while you do the whole segment?
No, excuse me.
Oh,
The whole
God.
point is that
God
we're
damn
gonna,
All right, do
talk
it.
about it.
Let's
Oh, I
do
like
it.
this. Too fucking wasted. Yeah. Okay. So we've been talking, we talk so much about copaganda, and every time we do a subject, we're both pulling as many stills and videos and graphics and everything as we can. But instead of doing that for this topic, we pulled a thread by somebody who's really on top of it always, but give me a second, because it's going to take a second for me to, add to the stream. Scott, I'm going to probably say it wrong, but Hetchinger, who writes a lot about copaganda and how stories are framed. Let me get rid of my, okay, there. Whoa, I just messed
Watch
up.
these personal
Don't let
DMs.
anybody-
This is
Oh,
a Ted Cruz
no.
moment. Let's go. Come on. I'm hoping there's some salty stuff in those DMs.
I knew it shouldn't have been me. I was trying to get rid of all my extra stuff. Oh my God. Okay. So he does a deep dive into the way corporate media framed crime leading up to the midterms. And, I know we've all talked a lot about how it really seemed leading up to the midterms very clear that CNN, MSNBC, corporate media were trying to have a split Congress, because what that ensures is that nothing actually passes, right? So there was a lot of talk about Fetterman for a while, about, how, oh boy, that debate performance was just horrible. So it looks like Pennsylvania is going to be split with Shapiro as governor and Fetterman won't win, but Oz will. And looks like what people are really trying to say is what they want is a balance in government, which is hilarious, because we know that for the most part, both teams are working for the same, corporate donors. But so here, Scott Hetchinger goes into the lead up with all of the talk about high crime and how it was framed by New York Times, which right after the midterms changed their tune and talked about the reality, which Hetchinger and many other people, Alex, oh God, we always get his name wrong.
Krakenstein? I always say Krakenstein. It's not Krakenstein.
But a lot of, left-wing independent journalists who call out copaganda. So this is a really good deep dive. So it's really mind-blowing seeing the New York Times, one of the chief purveyors of false, misleading, doomsday headlines about crime in New York and around the country, now reporting on the electoral impact of their own harmful journalism practices, and yet mentioning only other papers and media. So here's the New York Times saying, New York and its suburbs are among the safest, largest communities in the U.S., but amid a torrent of doomsday-style ads and headlines about rising crime, suburban swing voters helped drive a Republican rout that played a decisive role in capturing the House, which, of course, they had a large part in. I think often about this incredible statement. Well, this is okay. So here was a Trevor Noah video. Should we show it?
Play it.
Okay, give me a second while I figure out how to do it. I'm going off to a different screen for a moment. Here we go. Wait a second.
I think that
I'm
might
I love the New York Times. I really do. You guys are the best. You do some of the most accurate, precise reporting and news. You never fail to write down exactly whatever the police have given you to say. Really powerful. Like, is it just me, or does the New York Times keep blaming bail reform on crimes that had nothing to do with bail reform? Like, I'm half expecting to open a newspaper and see a headline, Mets blow 4-run lead due to changes in state bail laws. And you know, it's actually crazy how you guys have been attacked for everything, from your investigations into Trump's taxes, your reporting on the pandemic, and yet the biggest death threats that you received is because there were 2 L's in the Wordle that day. That was wild. By the way, give it up to those New York Times reporters who managed to get those Kevin McCarthy tapes. That was amazing, yeah? Give it up for them, incredible. You knew how crucial those tapes were, which is why you immediately waited until your book was for sale to tell the people about them. Bravo. I love the New York Times. I really
All
do.
right, so that was one. And sorry, I'm seeing that people are having a hard time with the echo, so I should have done that differently.
No, I'll tech support it, and we'll figure this.
Okay. All right. Okay, this is how the New York Times helped spread misinformation on crime. It took New York Times 23 paragraphs to expose the fact that the local DA, co-chair of Zeldin's campaign, could have sought bail, but declined to. Media must do better. So GOP assails New York bail laws after suspect in Zeldin attack is released. So they're constantly going with the sort of splashy, incendiary headline to fearmonger. How did a man accused of attacking Lee Zeldin go free without bail? So that's the headline. The power and consequences of a headline. In the midst of a cynical assault on truth about bail reform by GOP extremist Lee Zeldin, New York Times still only mustered a not terrible but disappointing both sides story. But look at the headline if you read beyond it, which of course is what happens every time. And is this?
Yeah, they fearmonger about needing to. It's all to smash the defund the police narrative, for one. I mean, that's half
Right.
of it. Half of it is just like you said. They're trying to stop Republicans from winning as well. I mean, the best case scenario is that there's an ineffective government, which benefits the New York Times because nobody passes any sort of anti-monopoly laws. There's no anti-censorship. There's, nothing changes. And businesses want to know that nothing's going to change for them. And if it changes, it's going to be for the better, but they're not going to lose money somehow because
There's not going to be some big systemic overhaul. It's always going to be
exactly
chipping at the edges and a stalemate in Congress, which is, of course, that's what every donor wants, right? Which is why they all donate to both parties. Okay. The New York Times appropriately hailed the remarkable display of defiance by Russian anti-war protesters, but they blamed racial justice protests and riots in the US for murders. Right? But it doesn't matter what nuance this New York Times article might have thought. Most people don't read beyond the headline, so most people thought progressive prosecutors led to a surge in violent crimes. But the fact is, any increases and far more decreases occurred everywhere in police budgets.
right, and they especially use that against in San Francisco. What's his name?
That's right. Chesa Boudin.
Boudin, who I went to a progressive thing that had Ro Khanna and him speaking, small little thing at the Democratic convention, but it was nonsense. It's how they just want to kill all the progressive. They don't want progressives to exist within the government, but they put out all this anti-crime stuff because Chesa put in a no bail system and wasn't prosecuting for nonviolent crimes, and
right.
So
and
they wanted to make
the prison.
they wanted to pretend that crime was just astronomical skyrocketing in San Francisco, and it never was. But the media never reports the truth.
No, and what they'll talk about is Walgreens, like the shoplifting at Walgreens and how they have to shut down. And, it's sort of like a multi-pronged beast. It's people so it's the big real estate owners, right, who don't want their property costs to go down. It's the police unions and the money that they get and give. It's the prison industrial complex. So there is a lot of money in promoting crime and in incarcerating our people.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is that this should be a Democratic issue, given their voting base and just that liberals are supposed to have a heart and understand some of these things. But I mean, to just bring it back to my city, for example, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, the party actually endorsed a Republican against a Democrat for DA because he was tough on crime. She was tough on crime.
Yeah.
And they got admonished at the DNC convention, the state convention. But you know, that's their instinct, is just, you know, tough on crime, nonsense.
Which always
I mean,
just
the
means
same thing.
criminalizing every behavior as opposed to getting to the root of the problem, right? They don't want to talk about what it would do if we capped rents, if we stopped allowing businesses to buy up all single family homes, if we had a living wage, if we had Medicare for all the things, if we invested that money in our communities, crime would go down. But they never want to talk about that.
And they always mischaracterize defund the police as just like, oh, stop giving all these things money. Like, there's no one's going to be safe. You know, it's so silly. You're just going to stop funding cops, you know, stop paying the cops. Defund the police is really about funding other groups to do the same jobs, but they're actually trained people and organizations that can actually help people. It's not about like cutting the funding to police and then the government isn't paying to keep your city safe. It's about putting the emphasis and the money and the dollars where the groups can actually do the things instead of fake do the things like the police do.
Yeah. And the most police communities have the most crime. So clearly having more police and jailing more people. I think we have 25% of the world's 25% of the world's population imprisoned, and we're 4% of the world's population. So we got to smash the concept of more police equals.
But cops do solve 2% of crimes.
Well, there's that. But just think about how much more money, if you gave them, how many more crimes.
Money. With a few more tanks, they'd solve more crimes. Does that make any sense?
There
if you
just
keep arming them with armed Hummers and like, I don't know.
And then they do, and then they don't serve their communities, and they see, well, first of all, often they don't live in their own communities, in the communities that they're policing. And to see the way they view the people, the communities where they are stationed as enemies, as combatants, as the people they have to take down. I mean, even just in the horrific shooting last week at the nightclub, and now I can't remember what city it was in, the gay nightclub in Texas. Is that, yeah. And the man who was there with his wife, daughter, and the daughter's boyfriend who was killed, who took down the shooter, he ended up being taken by police and put in a car for an hour after, everybody there knew that he was the person who actually stopped that shooting or stopped it from getting worse. And then the police looked at him as if he was a suspect. All right. I'm having a hard time reading this, so maybe this was a bad idea. This was my idea for a segment where we're going to do some deep dive, and I can't read it well enough.
Did I read it?
Sure.
I'll read it.
But then you can't scroll.
Well, you can scroll for me. You be my secretary. It's not a misogynist thing. It's just
compartmentalize. TFW.
Scott Hetchinger says, and his handle is Scott Hetch because he's pretty cool. The New York Times hired a new pro-carceral reporter to spew dangerous propaganda each week. In just this one paragraph, he advocated for more violent, racist policing, claimed over-policing is a comprehensive response to health issues, and throws in a scary, quote, repeat offender for fun. So it's all these dog whistles that these guys use over and over again. It's like, and the public is so used to hearing these things, they don't think any deeper. They don't hear opposing views. They don't hear from defund the police people without having at least 3 people follow them. So once in a while, they'll let somebody on who supports defund the police. They'll make a rational argument, but they won't let them talk for long. And they'll follow it up with 1 or 2 people to just cancel out whatever you heard. And it's sort of like, it's a debate where the last statement is always on the wrong side.
Yeah. And the truth is, people are looking around and seeing homelessness explode, and that is worrying. And So then when it's coupled with this idea of, oh, and crime is skyrocketing, which was a lie, it's not, but they put those things together, and the sort of like vaguely or sort of overwhelmingly unsettling feeling about what's happening in this country is blamed on the least powerful people, as opposed to the people who set up a system that actually not only contributes, but assures that we're going to have 500,000, 600,000 homeless people, right? Because of the rapacious nature of capitalism. I mean, that is the system. This is the natural tendency of capitalism.
And I think the missing link, and we didn't get to COVID yet, but like COVID's going to really fuck this economy up.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen the effects of it yet, but when it does, obviously police are going to be a critical part of stopping us from protesting about rights we need and protections we need. So yeah, and then just the way they frame things, right? It was the bullet's fault. The New York Times told us when they say a stray bullet kills girl as officers fire at suspect in Los Angeles store, which was just a couple miles from here. How
right?
fucking gross is that headline right there?
Stray bullet kills.
Stray bullet from who?
Out of the blue. God.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Bad things happen.
All right, what is this one? They got what they wanted. Former NYPD and LAPD Commissioner Bill Bratton tells Maureen Dowd they defunded the police. What do they get? Rising crime, cops leaving in droves, difficulty recruiting, which of course is not what happened, because most communities did not defund the police. They have refunded and overfunded the police. Very few places in this whole country defunded the police. And even the ones who did have exactly the same crime level as the places that refunded it, right? Or overfunded it or invested even more.
Yeah, it was the whole narrative is fabricated, and they're just doubling down and trying to defend that. But then for the New York Times to come out and now that the election's over, kind of say, yeah, crime is, that
it's not that
whoever
bad,
told you
actually.
that other stuff, it's just, they're full of shit,
Yeah. All right. Should we move on?
Let's move on.
All right, let's move on. That was our deep dive. I'm not sure about that one. I mean, not about him. He's great. I need to rethink how I can deal with it without having to put my readers on.
We'll get it.
Yeah, baby.
What is that one?
I don't even know what the sounds are. I think those are chirping birds, but why? I don't. Oh, maybe because there's no where the silence on the tridemic. I don't know. It's a stretch.
I don't know. All right. Well, good news, everybody. Oh, wait, are you taking that? Wait, let's just remove that. COVID misinformation is now not going to be monitored by Twitter. It's a free-for-all. A lot of people are very upset about the fact that we will no longer enforce on Twitter misleading information on COVID-19 policy.
I mean, so where is the misinformation coming from? I mean, look, the anti-vaxxers and a lot of the anti-mask nonsense, it's ridiculous, but like, it's not harming people as much as the government actually acting like COVID is over. Here's the CDC. Go ahead.
Well, this was from a year ago when, I mean, you and I were screaming about it at this point because the World Health Organization was saying this wasn't right. Don't do this. If you're fully vaccinated and have been exposed to someone with known or suspected COVID-19, you don't need to get tested or quarantined as long as you don't develop symptoms. So that was a big fat lie. And it took away, when we used to talk about asymptomatic spread, that was a thing for a full year. And then Biden came into office and we stopped talking about asymptomatic spread.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's Biden just now.
2 years ago, we couldn't even safely celebrate Thanksgiving with large family gatherings. Now we can. That's progress. Let's keep it going. Get your updated COVID-19 vaccine and flu shot. No mention about masks or cleaning the air or socially distancing or even testing, like even talking about testing. And, I keep buying tests because I'm so worried they're going to run out. We do have family coming over Christmas and I want to make sure that we all test. And, I have my clean air purifier in the house and all the stuff. But first of all, I get them and they're expiring in a month. So they're sending me like the dregs, clearly. But it's expensive and it's no longer like you don't get them for free, the rapid ones. And they are kicking off everybody who's not insured from getting tested or treated for free. So all of the different protections are being taken away. Oh, and here's another one.
Yeah, so the Senate votes to end COVID-19 emergency declaration. I think did we show this last week? It doesn't matter. But
yeah,
look at all these Democrats who voted yes to end it. I mean, who's on that list? Number 9, Chuck fucking Schumer. So like, you can't pin
gangster. That's gangster.
But this is where my biggest beef with Bernie lies, is not fighting for this, because this is really something everyone in America is facing. It's a fucking pandemic still. It should be so obvious to anyone following COVID closely that our policies right now are not going to work. They're not going to stop COVID and they're just going to get people killed. And progressives could leverage all of this. They could have this whole time into getting us closer to Medicare for all, getting some free programs paid for. But instead you've got Democrats right now voting to end the emergency. We have twice. Look at the death chart right here.
Oh my God. So here's under Trump, we got to about 400,000 deaths. And since Biden took office, we are at 1,000,001, about 2,000 a day.
Biden's famous tweet about I'd quit my job if I had 400,000 people.
I think he said it at 200,000, honestly. Yeah. He said it at 200,000 because that was when he was running. So we're at 1.1 million, and they're not doing anything, not to increase people getting boosters, not masks. Masks are the most simple, most effective way.
Why wouldn't you push masks? Because you can't. The argument against masks is really kind of silly. I mean, it's just that you don't want to wear them. I mean, that's the end of it.
Number of Americans hospitalized with COVID-19 tops 32,000, highest in more than 2 months. So that's today. And this month, I think we're already at 20,000 deaths. Last month, 58% of COVID deaths were vaxxed. And again, I'm not anti-vax. I am pro-vax, but it is anti-science to say that only vaccine only approach is going to save you or save us. That's not the way it works.
Science says you got a few things. You vax, you mask, you change the air quality indoors.
That's right. And isolate and
all those things,
socially distance. Yeah.
If you want to argue that you can't afford to change the air quality indoors in all these places, that's bullshit, because you could do it for $100. And of course
and then you have people like what's VJ? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, but what's the argument against a mask? What does a mask come down to? What is it? It's just,
honestly, it's like skin to skin or it ain't going in. It's like people who are against condoms. I don't know. Are you going to pretend that there's no sexually transmitted diseases? Put a fucking mask on your face. How hard is that?
No sex without a mask. That's my new policy.
Lord. Yeah. What else do we have?
This
is reinfections. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, all these narratives that the White House is pushing, they don't work. But if you take them at their word and they're trying to do the right thing and they're being honest, because deaths are going down.
Right.
We saw the chart. Deaths are still not really even going down, but they're less per day, But that's only if you ignore long COVID. If you ignore what actually COVID is effectively like an immune system injury that causes it attacks every organ in your body.
Right.
So every organ in your body. This is why people who have pre-existing conditions die of that pre-existing condition, because that area that's already weak in their body doesn't have the capability to fight back against COVID when it hits it.
Right.
So if people understood this is more of like an AIDS-like thing that you get, and who knows what happens in your body long term, we still don't know.
I mean, we're only 3 years in. We have no idea how this is going to have. Yeah.
At 5 years, everyone could croak. I mean, like, chicken pox. Chicken pox. Everybody gets chicken pox,
right?
And as an adult, if you get it, it's shingles, and it's literally wherever you got the chicken pox in your body attaches to your spine, and it fights its way out from your spine through your skin. I had it once as an adult, so it's not fun, but like we don't know what this is going to be. AIDS took 7 years to develop, initially, something like that, where people didn't know, you had the disease, but like it didn't really wreak havoc on your immune system until years later. And we just don't know what this is yet. But what we do know is terrifying, and everyone's ignoring it.
Yeah. So, I mean, my hope is that something like this, like sperm levels, let this sink in, guys. The concentration of COVID-infected men's sperm is 53% lower than sperm of men who were not COVID infected, even 3 months later. And also there is erectile dysfunction. So like, I mean, I guess we just need to appeal to any sort of fear that a person might have to make this kick in, that this, as much as the government wants to push the misinformation that COVID is over and open up and everybody goes shopping, which is really all it's ever about. This is going to have serious ramifications, and we're just living in an experiment right now.
Well, we're doing really well here. This is life expectancy versus health expenditure. So this is how expensive our healthcare system is versus the outcome. Age, so that's like 78 and 3/4 the average life expectancy in the US. But we spend $10,000 a year, adjusted for inflation, more than other countries.
But at least we have good results.
Am I reading that chart right? But
I think so. I was getting rid of the sex bot in our comment section.
Oh, we had a sex bot?
Yeah, I got rid of her. I blocked her.
Put them on live. Let's chat.
You know what? That's so funny. Reflect the Sun. I think you're right. I said condom, and the person, and all of a sudden we got a sex bot in here. How's that work? That's amazing. Condom.
I'll try it at home on my OK Google.
Did you already show? I
just woke my phone up with that. Sorry. Shut up.
No way, really. The life expectancy grid. Did we show this while I was getting rid of the sex bot? Yes. And you're right, Chris. Yes. Also, electorate. Sorry. I thought you said erection dysfunction, electric dysfunction. Very funny. I like it. Okay.
Speaking of ED, I was
plot. Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Hear about my ED?
Yeah, I want to hear about your ED. No, I'm going to override. I'm going to compartmentalize that. Here's a scatter plot of health spending per capita. That's the x-axis, and life expectancy, which is the y-axis, in all these different countries. One country sits alone in the bottom right quadrant due to its much higher spending and below average life expectancy. And that little red dot by itself on the bottom right is the US, which spends more than any other country and has a lower life expectancy than most of them.
It's exactly the same chart, just visualized differently.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. No, but also it goes back to what you were saying about the squad and Bernie and all those people who just once again, like now the midterms are started talking about Medicare for all. But why didn't they talk about Medicare for all and COVID and how it was killing, they say 1/3 of the COVID deaths. So that's what, 350,000 now, 345,000 are because we don't have Medicare for all. Right. Well,
so if you're going to start talking about it now, what they should have done is put the protections in place and fight like hell to not remove the protections and make it so that it's immoral to remove these protections. Like,
right.
If you're Democrats and you are bragging about having cut child poverty in half, you don't let that go. And as Democrats, as progressives, you die on that hill of like calling out people. Like if you're voting against continuing the the after school lunch program. I mean, the school lunch
Right.
programs and, things federally that actually helped end child poverty. You're immoral, like you have to, that's why these people were elected.
I
To
mean,
be
honestly, now that you've said that, it's so sad because you realize the way, because none of them said anything about ending the child tax credit. So I guess they would have done the
they
same
might,
thing.
I don't know, but they didn't manage to get attention for it.
Yeah.
Which is the whole role of celebrity politicians on the left with progressives.
Ugh. All right. Are we done with this? I did just want to say, well, first of all, I know we talk about this all the time, but I thought this was really interesting that in Wisconsin, Trump County and across the U.S., progressive healthcare initiatives posted through during the midterms, which I know we talked about right after the midterms, but I do think it's really important because there's always this talk about like, well, you have to convince people and you have to speak about it a certain way. People are convinced. Yeah. Everyone in this country, a majority of the people in this country want universal health care.
And I mean, along those same lines, they want masks if they think they're in danger,
That's right.
Like they want masks right now in airports.
I mean,
like,
this was
people get
from last week. Yeah.
Airports, like, if you've flown on a plane, that one person sick and 20 rows back of you can get you sick. That's why things like that voodoo nonsense vitamin C stuff that you fly, you take, what was that stuff?
Airborne.
But
yeah,
it's a reality that you get sick on planes because the air doesn't circulate. You're in close quarters. They try their best, but they can't.
That's why you can't smoke on planes anymore, right?
Yeah, this is, but people, and you're starting to hear whispers of it now that the media is starting to acknowledge the obvious. In some cases, it's not making it TV, but like here's CNN or NBC even with an article calling to put mask mandates back because no shit. I mean, how many kids are you going to let die from the flu, RSV, which both are spiked really, which they won't tell you. It spiked because of COVID damaging their immune system. So these kids are, their immune system's down. They're not wearing masks. They're in school with another 30 kids
who are all pretending they just have allergies because their parents have to go to work because nobody gets paid sick leave and paid days off. And triple-demic hitting kids across the country has some people blaming immunity debt, but experts say that's misguided. In other words, a lie, and it could be damaging. In other words, it's going to kill more kids because the immunity debt is a lie that was made up in 2021. No science person or medical person thinks that the reason that we're having this triple-demic right now is because some kids in some areas of the country wore masks because the rates of all of this is equal in the places where they didn't wear masks. So we know it's a lie.
And I should have shared it, but somebody asked me for some proof of that and I shared it on my Twitter, but basically immunology doesn't even know this phrase immunity debt doesn't even exist.
Right.
Like it's not even a concept. This is like a totally fabricated excuse that science doesn't even recognize. But here's where things could change because this is the reality. Long COVID is fucking up a lot of people.
Yep.
And it's going to have an economic impact.
That's when they'll start listening, when it really affects them.
When it affects them, but like, will even the $3.7 trillion impact affect, the people that are cozy and happy and rich? I don't know.
Their bunkers.
But
I don't know.
This article, I mean, here's the key points. Long COVID is a chronic illness resulting from COVID-19. It goes by many names, including long haul COVID, post-COVID, post-acute COVID. Not much is yet known about the illness. Its symptoms number in the hundreds, and they can be debilitating. They can also be challenging to diagnose for doctors, even willing to do so. But there's like 24 million people.
Yeah.
Affected by long COVID.
Yeah. I'm looking through. All right. Do we get all of our stuff? Is there anything else we wanted to say? I did want to end on this brilliant post by Marjorie Taylor Greene. So many people still wearing masks. I just want to ask you, if a pair of underwear, really thick ones, high quality cotton, can't protect you from a fart, how will a mask protect you from COVID? Yeah. And that's their best and brightest.
I mean, that is good as a reminder to say, as much as we talk shit about the Democrats, that's not saying the other side's better. The other side
not.
is obviously worse, but like our side that we critique all the time are supposed to be fighting for us. And the fact that they're not is, arguably worse in many ways, because it puts so many normie Democrats to sleep. It makes people think COVID isn't even a thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And gaslighting people to that effect during a pandemic is about as evil as you can get, in my opinion.
I agree, which is also why, I mean, I think Elon Musk is a disgusting human being, but I don't mind the idea that they're taking away the labels of misinformation, because it was only ever applied to the people who are pushing ivermectin, but not the government and the CDC who were saying, hey, take your masks off and live your best life, which was also misinformation. And when that's not labeled as misinformation, as you said, like the people who are a little bit asleep and who aren't doing their own research, which, they love making fun of people for doing their own research. But if you were depending on the CDC to tell you what to do, you'd take your mask off and go live your best life. Right. So
if the CDC had the same, if they were just a regular Joe like you and I on Twitter, and there was actually a misinformation 3-strike policy, they wouldn't be allowed on Twitter anymore.
100%. And they have a lot of deaths on their blood on their hands. Okay. Should we spin the wheel? How many more segments do we have? What? Really?
I mean, timeline cleanse is just
that's a quick one. Okay. Yeah. I want to get to the rail workers is the thing that's been making, oh my God.
I'll just remove that. I'll go away.
Red. All right. Listen, if I could do it when I had 102 fever, that one show, definitely.
Wow. And by the way, if anyone in the audience drinks bourbon, I'm running out of bourbon, so I need a suggestion for a new brand, because I like to try different bourbons. Not the obvious stuff, just something you could find at Total Wine for $40 maybe. Cheers.
Okay. All right.
Back to the wheel. What do we got?
Back to the wheel.
Yeah, baby.
Come on. Oh my God.
All right, now we're back to China.
Oh,
we're back in
do
China.
this last one. Is anybody doing this with us? Are you all drinking with us? Is everybody keeping up? Solidarity, folks.
We need to get more shot glasses out to people.
I know.
It's our mission.
Okay. Dude, I still have to drink my wine.
I've been nursing this beer.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Oops. Keep trying to remove it. All right. What do we got?
Yeah, baby.
Rail strike.
Let's get another timeline.
All right.
Barely touched the timeline.
I know. We'll end on a timeline cleanse after we talk about the rail strike. How about that?
You promise?
I promise.
Look at that.
Look at that. We got no choice.
Spin the wheel one more time.
I mean, I'm sure all of you are following this really closely. It is so reprehensible that Union Joe, working class Joe, the most repellent Democratic president of my life. No, maybe not. That might be Clinton. I don't know. Or Obama. I have no fucking idea. It's a 3-way tie. Is going to crush the labor movement, the biggest strike that could be happening, take away the workers' voice, what they voted for, what they want, and send them all back to work. It is vile.
This guy?
Yeah.
Hope and Scab?
Hope and Scab. Railroad companies and union workers are at an impasse. The workers want at least 4 paid sick days. They get 0, but 4. I mean, it's nothing. The railroads want to give them none. Biden says to avoid a strike, Congress should pass legislation giving the railroad companies exactly what they want. Biden's breaking his sick leave promise to crush rail workers. In 2020, Biden called the lack of decent paid sick leave a national disgrace. Now he's siding with railroad barons. I love that they call them barons, to crush workers seeking those benefits. Major strike looms as the largest rail union in the U.S. rejects White House brokered contract. So I'm sure you all remember the timeline, which was right before the midterms. Biden sent, and Marty Walsh, the head of the Secretary of Labor, sent in a group of people to negotiate between the union bosses and the railroad CEOs. And they gave a price increase or a wage increase, but no paid sick leave. And right now, they're saying we need to avert a shutdown and how much it will cost the government. But what they're not saying is that because of the way these railroad bosses have conducted business over the past couple of years, they have fired people. They are forcing people to work, days and days on end with no paid time off, no sick leave. They aren't maintaining the railroads. So it's dangerous. Even if you're just like only thinking about yourself, we know that there are accidents where toxic,
and again, record profits during all this.
Yeah, because they're doing stock buybacks and bragging to their boards about how much money they're making. And so we're already suffering. The country, if you're only even thinking about it financially, though all those costs are being put on to regular consumers. That's already happening. So then to see the way mainstream media is framing this.
They characterize, this first came up 4 or 5 months ago, and the strike potential was there, and Biden was heralded on mainstream media as a hero for averting it then, but he'd never really averted it because the union members, most of the unions didn't agree to his terms then. It was a fact that they had no deal, and all of mainstream media ran with Joe Biden being the hero because this is pre-midterms.
Right.
This is what they were doing.
So now that they actually brought it to a vote, so they didn't even, most workers said they hadn't even seen the deal that the Biden administration was pushing as the deal that had averted the crisis. So the workers hadn't even seen this deal. They certainly hadn't voted on it, while corporate media was leading with these stories of, look at Union Joe avoids the shutdown. Now that it's becoming clear that the workers are not sanctioning this deal, that I think would give them 1 paid sick day, or is it still 0?
The deal that the Biden White House is pushing for is 0 sick days still.
It's still 0.
0. Literally 0.
Yeah. And that's right. The only thing more important to these ghouls than their money is crushing the working class. They are terrified by workers' power. So this is how it's framed on CNN.
A rail strike is one of the most disruptive and expensive things that can happen to an economy.
A rail shutdown or strike would disrupt supply chains.
A strike means food prices could skyrocket.
Many experts are saying would be an economic catastrophe.
That could mean a big shortage and massive price hikes. Even gas prices could increase.
And it also could cost the economy $1 billion within the first week.
That would cripple the economy.
I'm not setting aside the concerns of your members, but are you and your members willing to stop the rails, in effect, and accept those costs to the U.S. economy?
Do you believe a strike is worth it if it cripples the U.S. economy and costs up to $2 billion a day?
More than $2 billion per day.
Is it worth it?
And on top of all of that, the holidays are right around the corner.
It's a little less than a month right before Christmas here.
Especially right before the holidays.
President Biden warning if that happened, it would devastate the economy if we had a strike like that. So joining me now to talk about this and a lot more is Bank of America. It's Brian Moynihan, chairman and CEO, one of the biggest banks in the world.
Wow. To end on the Bank of America.
They just gave away the whole game, right? And by the way, everything that they were fear-mongering about, like the soaring prices of food, of gas, that's all happening already because of the way these railroad barons are conducting business. Well, that's already happening.
Take every single consequence they put out there of not coming to an agreement and reframe it and just say it's accurate. Like this will all happen. Like the economy will be crippled if you don't do this. It's always put to the people who aren't accepting the deal, the workers. Like, what if they framed all of that in like, oh, you won't, what if you don't give them 3 sick days, the economy shuts down.
Right.
How does that change the narrative? Like instead, it's like if you guys fight for sick days, but if it's put to the people that withholding sick days, I mean, imagine if the press did that, because the media, the public is going to understand, like, holy shit, they don't get sick days. Like,
Right.
fuck.
But it still is being framed, as you said. But is it really worth it? Is it really worth it for you? Like, do you really want to bring down the whole country? And instead, they could have Warren Buffett on there or that Bank of America guy and be like, is it really worth it to shut down the whole country because you don't want to treat your workers with respect?
Exactly.
And some dignity. And they never do that. They never do that. Instead, we get these, even just last week, we get this puff piece. Warren Buffett donates over $750 million to his family charities. I mean, to his family charities. That's a big money laundering scheme and a reputation laundering scheme, right?
Very Hillary Clinton Haiti to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what was the fun? It's been so long since I argued. I had such a mental block in my head of Hillary Clinton shit. Like,
yeah,
I knew every ounce of Hillary Clinton shit. And then I was just like, I can't talk about Hillary Clinton anymore.
I know. Well, she's so heinous.
The Hillary, not
the global
global initiative.
Yeah.
Global Clinton.
Yeah.
CGI. I don't know.
Yeah.
Global initiative.
The Clinton Global Initiative. Yeah.
So they always bragged about doing they ended AIDS in Haiti. They got AIDS tests and syringes and what. But the point is, they got billions of dollars to do millions of dollars worth of work. So
that's
like,
right.
Even if you're Buffett and you give $750 million to your family, but like, even if you gave it to a good cause, like, put that in perspective to all the tax benefits the guy gets to make trillions.
Oh, 100%.
Not trillions,
yeah. So now we've got, now we're doing the Build Back Better split vote, right? Where they are voting to say, hey, we got to get everybody back to work and accept this temporary agreement. But Pelosi split that from the 7-day paid sick leave amendment that Bernie Sanders and Jamal Bowman made sure got in there for the workers, but it split. So, you've got some people like, even Marco Rubio, it's so embarrassing. Marco Rubio and Newt Gingrich coming out and saying the railways and workers should go back and negotiate a deal that the workers, not just the union bosses, will accept. But if Congress is forced to do it, I will not vote to impose a deal that doesn't have the support of rail workers. Okay, let's see what happens. Here's Newt Gingrich, working class hero. Marco Rubio is right. There's no reason for Congress to force American railroad workers to work when the issue is sick pay and federal employees get huge sick leave benefits. The unions and management should go back to the bargaining table.
These are the guys that are looking for an issue to separate themselves from the Democratic Party. Democratic Party has the opportunity to say, hey, we're the party of healthcare. We're the party of all these things that employers don't provide to you.
Yep.
And here we are ceding union stuff to the right from just clear failure on the issue. And
of course it's cynical and dishonest. They're not going to do it, but okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. But even they're avoiding even talking about the 7-day amendment. So they're not going to pass the 7-day amendment. They passed the House.
It's not going to pass
the Senate. It's going to pass with more Republicans than have been on a bill for a long time, because the Republicans realize this is an opportunity for them.
Right. Although I saw John Cornyn before this was saying that he would vote for the 7 paid sick days, but now that it's coming to the Senate, he's like, of course he's walking it back, because of course Republicans are evil. And the reason, the reason that we criticize Democrats isn't because we like Republicans. It's because they are acting like Republicans. Somebody, and I need to find out who it was. I bookmarked it and I want to give props to the person, but who said, I'm punching right. If Democrats don't like it, they should get out of the way. And that is exactly the case.
Stop being on my right if you're a Democrat.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the Senate votes tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and they're going to pass the forced agreement.
They're going to force them back to work.
You know, Union Joe is going to force an agreement the union members don't agree with.
That's right.
Or even the union leadership. I mean, like, there's not support for his bill.
Yeah. I did like this from Christian Smalls, who says to the railroad workers, do it anyway. F it. All labor winter. Is F it, feel it? Just kidding. That's a callback. And Danny DeVito. No, Joe, you're supposed to help the railroad workers. You got it backwards. A handful of sick days. Come on, workers of the world, unite. Let's go, Danny DeVito.
And Bernie's getting a lot of crap, and I understand it, for caving. And, you know, his amendment is for 7 days and not 14. So railway workers were asking for 14. I understand it. I get both sides of the argument. I understand he should be pushing for 14. He really should with his amendment. But by being
I
Bernie,
don't know why you start with the compromise. I guess that's the thing. Like, do 15, so then the concession is 7. No,
I think the situation is so fucked. It's kind of clear, like, you're not going to give them a week of sick day. Like, you know, because when people hear, I mean, rail workers make, you know, they make a lot of money, but there's a lot of costs involved for their personal families. And it's just dumb. It's dumb policy to force sick people to work. I mean, that's bad for a business. It's stupidity all around. Like it.
Yeah. I think it is wildcat time. I mean, I hope so, because otherwise, I mean, it is appalling that people are going to be forced back to work who are voting against a contract that is being shoved on them. I mean, that's like what Reagan did to the pilots. I mean, and that he won't call out the CEOs, and that we're still going to see all of this like fanfare fawning over the good billionaires who give back more money, you know?
Well, and think of the precedent of the president jumping in, trying to negotiate a deal, saying you didn't take the deal. Now you must take the deal. I mean, this is what labor has in front of them if we don't push back and actually.
It's their one piece of power.
There will be pain if there's a railroad strike, but I mean, that's the pain that has to come if employers treat workers so shitty, and it needs to be framed that way throughout the debate until we win the debate.
Yeah. And when you have Union Joe and FDR Joe and Marty Walsh and all these people who are lionized as being the most progressive union working class
just
administration. Yeah. And selling out workers not just selling them out, forcing them after, you know, and this has been going on, these negotiations, I think for like 2 years or more, because there's a whole bunch of steps that they've had to take different from regular labor unions, because a strike would shut down the whole country. So they have had to go through all of these steps. And when they finally get there and they find there are 12, I think there are 12 unions under the big umbrella. And then for it to just be taken away from them. I mean, it is really sickening.
It's a dangerous precedent.
Yeah.
All right. So we should wrap it up because we've been here for almost 6.5 hours. Instead of spinning the wheel,
You're just going to show your favorite timeline.
I'm going to show you what I think of the deal Biden has struck. And this is actually not a one-off. This is actually how bats pee. You're welcome.
I think we need to get that sex bot back in here.
He's not done. He's not done. I don't know why. I'm very juvenile, but I love that video. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it next week too.
That's just going to be there. I'm going to bring back my sit to pee rage rant.
Oh my God. Don't make me show it again.
Oh boy. I am so happy always to be here with all of you. Thank you. It is bleak out there, so truly appreciate the good cheer you bring us. Thank you for hanging out with us. Shot glass coming to our winner this week, and we will be putting out another contest for next week. So cheers everybody. Keep punching up.
Cheers. Much appreciated, guys.